here to share their expertise is Antonio Jr. B. Tangayan, Science Research Specialist 2 from the Climate Information Services, focal of the Department of Agriculture. Again, let's give them a round warm of applause.
Alright, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Okay pa po ba tayo? Hip hip! Okay, mga 90% may energy pa. Okay, so first of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the National Nutrition Council for inviting the Department of Agriculture. And this afternoon, we will be sharing to you the topic entitled Nurturing Climate Resilient or Smart Practices to Sustain Family and Community Gardens. It is also a stage for promotion for food security and climate resilience. So this is more on production side of the agriculture. So here are the topics that I'll be tackling about the climate change and its impact, the different climate smart and resilient practices, principles, and also we will be sharing with you the best practices or the resilient garden design, community participation, and the policies and the institutional support. So climate change is inevitable, no? So when you're talking about climate change, it refers to a long-term shift in temperatures and weather patterns, no? For the last 30 years, ano na po ba yung ating experience, no, sa panahon ngayon? May kaibahan ba? So it is adverse impacts are already being seen and will intensify exponentially. No? Papalakas po yung epekto and impact of this climate change kung wala po tayong gagawin para maibsan yung gas emission. So here are some observed changes in weather and climate here in the Philippines. First, we have what we called unpredictable weather patterns, no? Or yung pong mga naurong ang tag-init at tag-ulan. Second, we have this hot becomes hotter and wet becomes wetter. And in fact, based on the Pag-asa forecast, maka-experience po tayo ng short-lived La Nina from September to December. And in fact, in January, ay yung rainfall natin ay malaki rin or mataas rin. And this one, more frequent and stronger typhoon. Hindi pa nga nakalabas yung isang bagyo sa Philippine Area of Responsibility, mayroon namang nakapasok na typhoon o kaya'y LPA. So that's part of the impact of this climate change. Longer period of drought, no? So tumataas yung drought period. Mas madalas yung tinatawag nating El Nino, no? Isang natural phenomenon. Another is southwest monsoon. Yung na-experience natin ng pag-ulan, no, that can cause flooding. So ito po yung na-experience natin and it is part of the southwest monsoon. And this climate abnormality. So yung mga area, especially in Mindanao, na hindi masyadong nakaranas ng bagyo in the last 30 years, ay ngayon ay nakaka-experience na ng bagyo. Okay, so based on the data, from 1951 to 2010, tumataas po yung ating average temperature, no? Ng 0.65 to 68 degrees Celsius. That leads to an intensified typhoon and irregular rainfall patterns. So, another slide. Next slide, please. So, this graph showing us this, itong mga naka-dash lines, no? Yung naka-black na color, yan po yung pagtaas or pag-increase ng temperatura mula noong 1750 to 2000. So pataas po yung pag-increase ng temperature. And on that side, makikita natin dyan yung different gas emission na napoproduce natin, no? So yung pinakamalaking contribution ng gas ay tinatawag nating methane gas. And that methane gas nakukuha yan doon sa agricultural na activity. Yung carbon dioxide and also the nitrous oxide. Okay, next slide. So, in this graph, makikita din po natin yung pagtaas ng rainfall change. So kung ngayon, naka-experience tayo ng maraming pag-ulan, and for the following years, based on the projection, in 2050, posibleng makaranas pa tayo ng 10%. No? So, yan po yung challenge po natin sa buong komunidad. Okay, so in 2050, based on our scientific data, meron pa tayong expected rise of temperature from 1.8 degrees Celsius to 2.2. So that sounds alarming, mga kaibigan. So, ano bang implikasyon dyan, no, sa pagtaas ng temperatura? In rice production, in every 1 degree Celsius increase in temperature during nighttime sa rice area, meron po yung pagbaba rin ng 10% ng potential yield. So, yan po, no? While in corn production, in every 30 degrees Celsius yung 30 degrees Celsius above, mayroon po yung 1.7% na possible decrease in terms of yield, especially during drought conditions. And in vegetables, so labis na pag-ulan, labis na pag-init, then makakreate yan ng lost yields, no, sa ating mga vegetables. On the other hand, sa livestock and poultry animals, so yung comfort zone ng ating mga hayop, particularly na doon sa swine, ay 10 to 30 degrees Celsius. However, kung patuloy yung pagtaas ng temperatura, ay maaring mag-reduce din po yung feed intake ng ating mga animals that leads also na hindi tataas yung timbang, no, ng ating mga hayop. So next slide. So dito pinapakita natin kung magkano ba yung production loss natin sa agriculture dahil sa different hazards, no? Makikita natin a total of 299 billion because of the impact of the climate change, and majority, about 98.4% ay nanggagaling doon sa typhoon hazard, no? So yan po. And usually, next slide, itong mga typhoon na ito ay mag-o-occur ng last quarter of the year. So yan po yung ating nararanasan. So, ito po yung possible impact sa ating food system. So, nag-decrease yung ating production, so therefore, yung pagtaas rin po ng ating mga bilihin or mga agricultural commodity ay mararanasan din, no? So next, ito, consumption of all food commodities is projected to decline. So, aside from that, in the society, maaari din tayong makaranas, no, ng increased risk of hunger and contributing to children's malnutrition. So, that's a threat. So that's why we need to have a resilient food production from family to community. Next slide. Okay, so we have two main courses of action to respond to climate change. So these are the adaptation and mitigation. So we need to adapt the current situation that we have now, no, resilient practices, and also to mitigate. So while producing food, kailangan po nating i-mitigate yung mga greenhouse gases, no, na ipoproduce natin para makaibsan yung global warming. So part of our action is what we called the alternate wet and dry. So this is only applicable sa mga area na merong rice production, no? So ang kakayanan nito, kasi yung rice paddies natin mga kaibigan ay magpo-produce ng methane gas, no, through stem, bubbles or mga microbes doon during flooding, or mag-irrigate tayo or magbigay tayo ng tubig. So through this technique na merong time or period of time na kung saan po ay hindi kailangang lagyan ng patubig including the surface area, but still able to produce a good yield. So this technology magbibigay sa atin ng 15 to 30% na savings in terms of irrigation, and makareduce din po ito ng methane gas emission by 30 to 70%. Another technique is what we call biochar or charcoal. So kung kayo po ay magtatanim, para ma-less din po natin yung paggamit ng mga commercial fertilizer, marin po nating i-mix yung charcoal doon sa ating garden soil, no? Kasi yung carbon mismo ay magbibigay ng pagkain doon sa ating mga halaman. So based on the data, there is a 30 to 50% reduction in terms of nitrogen, the methane gas, and the nitrous oxide. So yung ating palay, based on the field rice data, para makaproduce ng 1 kilogram of rice, kailangan po natin ng 2,500 liters of water din po. Okay, so next slide. So pinapakita lang po natin dito yung mga stress-tolerant varieties for rice, and also sa ating mga vegetables, mayroon din po tayong mga varieties, no, na maka-withstand ng climate change impacts. And also, we are also encouraging our farmers to produce organic fertilizer. So next slide. So pwede nating i-promote yung liquid fertilizer or yung vermicast, no, to reduce also the use of inorganic fertilizer. Next slide is what we called the crop diversification. So ito po yung sinasabi natin kanina, na kailangan yung isang farmer or individual na magtanim ng maraming crops, no? So diversified po yung ating one of our technologies na i-promote. So different crops grown in a particular period of time. So next slide, ito po yung mga example, mga cropping system strategies, no? So meron tinatawag na mixed cropping, intercropping, strip cropping, and alley cropping. That is for large area na po, no, ng food production. So next slide. Ipapakita ko lang po dito yung mga practices, no, ng rice production, na after ng rice production ay nag-grow rin po ng ibang crops such as watermelon and vegetables. Next slide. So this is all about the rice-based crop production system. Okay, next slide. Oh, ito rin po, no, sa gilid ng rice field, hindi lang rice ang kanilang pinaparami or pinoproduce, pati na rin po yung vegetables. Next slide. Okay, so this technique is what we call the protected cultivation. So part of the intervention of the Department of Agriculture is giving them, no, yung ating mga farmers or yung even in the urban areas, itong paggamit ng greenhouse cultivation. It is a controlled environment, meaning pwede natin makontrol yung pest and disease occurrence, no, and weather. Next slide. So medyo may kamahalan po yung greenhouse. Kaya sa mga area na especially sa mga highland areas, kailangan nating i-promote yung ating tinatawag na rain shelter, no? It will protect during the excess rainfall. So that is cost effective. And there's some example documentation of the greenhouse with hydroponics. Okay, so we are also encouraging our youth, no, to participate. And in fact, last month merong na turnover na greenhouse, no, sa isang paaralan, at minamanage po yan ng mga estudyante, no? Kasi yung ating average age of our farmer is actually nandoon na sa 56 to 57 years old. So kailangan i-promote po natin yung mga agricultural activities doon sa ating younger generation. Next slide. We have this vertical gardening. So mas maganda itong gamitin, especially sa mga limited lang po yung space, no? So through that, so kahit maliit lang yung space, ay marami pa rin tanim ang pwede nating mapoproduce or maproduce. So next, is the most common practice, itong tinatawag nating containerized gardening, no? So sa halip na maitapon lang o mai-dispose lang kung saan-saan, ay in-encourage natin ating community to recycle all the materials na pwede natin gamitin, no? As part of our food production. So pwede yung mga tire, plastic bottles, pwede rin yung bamboo, and also itong banana stem. Okay. Sa mga cash crops. Okay, so in a larger area, pinopromote din po natin yung contour farming, no? Kasi yung mga area such as in southern part ng Cebu that is prone to soil erosion, yan po yung ating mga practices, no, na pinopromote, yung contour farming. Okay? So sa contour lining, so dyan po natin inilagay yung mga napier, lemongrass at iba pang mga pang hedgerows, no? So ito rin po ang stone walling. So pinapractice din po yan sa ating mga farmer dito sa Cebu. And that's part also of the farm diversification, kung saan po hindi lang cabbage yung kanilang tinatanim, pati na rin po yung sayuti, lettuce, no, in that particular area. So another cereal practice is this, mulching. So ito po ay magre-regulate ng soil temperature, mag-conserve ng soil moisture, at hindi na tayo masyadong mangangailangan ng labor, no, during sa pagkuha ng mga damo, kasi napakahalaga at napaka-useful itong mulching, mapa-plastic man or yung mga rice straw. Okay, another CRE practice, itong rice duct system. So may mga LGUs ba dito na maraming rice area? Or vegetable lang? Meron din, no? So ito, sa rice duct system, integrating livestock animals to our crops. So marami rin po yung maitulong doon sa ating mga farmers. And also this one, so rice with azolla. So ito po ay sustainable practice talaga, dahil ito po yung azolla ay magbibigay ng nutrients doon sa rice. And at the same time, yung azolla is a good source of crude protein na pwede nating ipakain doon sa ating livestock and poultry animals. Okay, so itong mga rice straw naman, after mag-harvest, ay maaari po nating gamitin as silage doon sa ating mga livestock, no? Or gawin nating growing media para sa ating mushroom production. So marami na pong mga LGUs din na pumunta doon sa ating station or sa DA para mag-avail, no? Mag-avail ng mga intervention, particularly sa mushroom production. So ito po yung common outcome ng DA, to have a food secure country, food affordability, and nutritious food, and profitability. So yan po yung ating mga directives. So to achieve the food security in our country, we should have, or we should increase the productivity of key commodities. Next slide, please. Improve our commodity value chains, and also this is what we called farm clustering and consolidations. Okay, next slide. So mo po at ito din po yung sinasabi kanina, that the DA also provide the construction of farm to market roads, no, and also this kadiwa, and to ensure that our products is safety, we have the regulatory activities. Okay, next slide. So the provision of the greenhouse is part of our modernization initiatives. Okay, next slide. So pinapakita lang po natin dito, no, especially sa ating mga LGUs, kung ano-ano ba yung mga programs and projects under the Department of Agriculture. So meron tayong rice program, corn program, livestock and poultry program, also organic, and sa mga urban areas, meron na rin po tayong program dyan na mag-handle, at itong high value crops. And also, the AMIA and SAAD. So for sure, we're all familiar also with SAAD program. So next slide. So these are some programs and services, no, under sa DA. Next slide. So these programs and projects may have direct or indirectly contribute in addressing food security, poverty alleviation, and sustainable growth. So these programs is what we call the nutritious or nutrition sensitive programs. Okay, so next slide. Regarding the community participation, so kailangan maging involved po, no, yung ating community sa mga activities natin. So mapabarangay man, no, or doon na sa level ng M or CLGU. Okay, next slide. Also, encouraging our schools, no, participation of the teachers and students, and this gardening. Next slide. So ensuring food security in the locality. So again, we have the active LGUs here. So we need to closely work with them, and also the municipal or the city agriculture office who are responsible for the agricultural intervention. And also we need to have a collaboration with various organizations such as in Municipal Agriculture and Fishery Council, the Farmers Fishermen Association, and the 4-H Club in the area. So ito pong 4-H Club is yung focus on the youth, no? And also provision of farm inputs para rin po sa ating mga farmers. Okay? So next slide. So by doing this, hopefully we can achieve a food sufficiency, reduce poverty, and really to address the impact of this climate change. Dagang salamat, and good afternoon once again.
Thank you, Miss Tan, for sharing how Walang Gutom program is working to ensure that no Filipino family is left behind when it comes to food security. So let's all applaud to that.
Certificates of appreciation. May we call on stage the OIC NPC of Region 6, Ms. Cheryl Sedantes, to confer our expression of appreciation. And of course, our speakers, Mr. Tangayan from the Department of Agriculture, Ms. Eder from the Food and Nutrition Research Institute, and Ms. Tan from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, here on stage with me. And the National Nutrition Council awards this certificates of appreciation to Antonio Jr. B. Tangayan, Science Research Specialist 2 of the Climate Information Services of the Department of Agriculture, Ms. Janelle Ann C. Eder, Science Research Specialist 1 from the Food and Nutrition Research Institute of the Department of Science and Technology, and lastly, for Ms. Ledy Maris B. Tan, a Central Visayas Regional Program Coordinator of the Department of Social Welfare and Development's Walang Gutom program, as resource speakers during the Sub-Island Conference on Food and Nutrition Security for local government units organized by the National Nutrition Council. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them all a warm round of applause. And time check, it is already 5:15 in the afternoon. We apologize for the slight delay of the overtime of the program. No, for our day 1, ayan, tuloy-tuloy, over na din talaga ang learnings natin for today. But in all seriousness, we sincerely appreciate the effort, time, your commitment, and the resources that you all have given for this event and for nutrition. So this day truly deserves to be called jam-packed, because if we've been full house in attendance, we are also full house in learnings and takeaways. So we warmed up, exercised, and finished strong on this whole day sprint of learning for the first day of the Visayas Conference on Food and Nutrition Security. So let's take a moment to absorb all of these learnings and let them marinate in our body and our mind, because that ends our program for today. But just a few reminders before we let you go. We encourage everyone to please be here at exactly 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. We will be serving morning snacks, lunch, and afternoon snacks. Will be provided as well. And we will be having our workshops tomorrow
you will be given a chance to interact and talk to your fellow region mates. We will also be having several speakers for tomorrow's. And a big thank you to all those who attended and graced us with their presence today. Take the remaining time to rest, recharge, and spend time with your friends and family. Tomorrow, we resume with day 2 of the conference. So come ready to learn, share, and collaborate. Again, my name is Queenie, and see you all tomorrow.